Everyone loves that soft, blurry background look, that creamy bokeh that makes your photos look like they were taken from a DSLR. But did you know you can also get natural, realistic bokeh right on your iPhone? In this video, I'll show you exactly how to do just that without using the fake portrait mode. But first, you might ask, why try to get natural blur rather than just use portrait mode? Well, if you've used portrait mode before, you probably are aware of the issues. The first is edge detection errors. Because portrait mode relies on software depth mapping, not real optical depth, it will struggle with fine details, particularly in low light, as in this example. Also, since the blur is digitally applied, sometimes the blur might look too abrupt, where there is no gradual fall off in focus, as if the subject was pasted on a blurry background. So let's run through the ways to get natural bokeh blur. The first tip is to get close to your subject. The easiest way to create depth is to get as close as possible. You can see the difference of how the blur softens as I move closer to the subject. By the way, do note that when shooting close, it is important to not go beyond the iPhone's minimum focusing distance, which is around 4 inches, or else the shot will not be completely sharp. Given the small iPhone screen, that's not always easy to see accurately. As such, I'll use our partner app, AuraHDR camera, which has some tools to help in getting a precise focus. I'll navigate to focus bracketing mode. I'll ensure the number of shots is set to the minimum, 2, although I just need 1 shot. I'll tap to focus. As you can see, AuraHDR outputs the lens position. Here it is returning a value of 0, signifying that I'm shooting too close beyond the minimum focusing distance. You can verify this with the magnifier that the details are looking soft. As such, I'll move further back. As you can see, it is now outputting a positive low number, which signifies that I'm within the minimum distance and the iPhone can now focus properly. You can also use a manual focus slider to give you full control, particularly useful in lower light when the iPhone camera's autofocus system becomes erratic. There, the point is now in focus. I'll take the shot. The second tip is to use the main camera. While in theory, the telephoto camera is supposed to give the better background blur given the longer focal length, unfortunately, that is not really the case, as the telephoto is hampered by a much smaller sensor, which is 1/3 the size of the main sensor, while having a 30% smaller aperture. These two factors contribute in a sharper background compared to the main camera. By the way, do note that when using the iPhone's default camera, it is not so easy to judge which camera you are using, since the iPhone automatically switches between the telephoto and main camera depending on the scene. As such, I'll take the shot with AuraHDR, which does not switch cameras, to allow us to see the performance of each lens. You can clearly see that with the telephoto shot, the background is still clearly sharp with a lot of visible details despite shooting as close as possible. Contrast this to using the main camera, which does a better job of producing an out-of-focus background. Now, with regards to the ultra-wide, this is the worst camera to use for background blur as it keeps everything sharp, as you can see here. The third tip is to ensure a suitable background distance for smoother blur. You want to keep the background far from the subject, at least 3x the distance from the subject compared to the camera. A farther background produces more blur since it's farther away from the plane of focus. You can see the difference in blur when the background is near versus when it is far. The fourth tip is to shoot the background with light sources. This allows for producing the beautiful bokeh circles that is so attractive in photography. So here are a few more examples of iPhone shots I've taken by applying the tips we've just outlined. As you can see, it can really take your images to the next level. So that's how you get real natural bokeh straight from your iPhone, no tricks and no fake blur. So I hope you found this video helpful. Make sure to support this channel by getting AuraHDR camera on the App Store, the best app for computational photography. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to help keep the videos coming. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.